Hi all, here is part 2 of the chapter, what chapter is it? 18, notes, review of my personal notes. Again, as always, look under the week 5 question thread and then my notes post, and you'll find the Word document that you see here. Okay, we left off, I highlighted it so I didn't lose it, with rainforests. So rainforests are concentrated in the tropics, the region of the tropic, from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn. So you think of it kind of as the belt around the center of the globe, right? Latitudes between the tropics and the Arctic Circle in the north and the Antarctic Circle in the south are temperate zones. So right above and below the belt, you got the temperate zones. And then generally these regions have milder climates than the tropics or the polar regions. And then the polar regions, those are going to be the very tip head or the very feet of the globe. Okay? Let's scroll down. Let's talk about tropical forests. Tropical forests occur in the equatorial, I can't talk today. This is what happens when you get no sleep. The equatorial areas where the temperature is warm and the days are 11 to 12 hours long year-round. So half the day or half your 24-hour cycle is light and the other half is dark. And that's pretty much standard in a tropical forest. The type of vegetation is determined primarily by rainfall. Tropical rainforests receive 200 to 400 centimeters. That's 79 to 157 inches of rain per year. Belize was a little strange. We were a broadleaf rainforest. I get to take ownership of it because I live there. So savannas, those are going to be a little more in the temperate zones typically. They are dominated by grasses and scattered trees. Fire caused by lightning or human activity is an important abiotic factor in the savanna. The grasses survive the burning because of the growing points in their shoots are below the ground. The other plants have seeds that sprout rapidly after a fire. Think about with the trees, several forest trees only grow if they are exposed to fire, but these are just fast. The poor soil and lack of moisture along with fire and grazing animals prevents the establishment of most trees. The luxuriant growth of grasses and small broadleaf plants during the rainy season provides a rich food source for plant-eating animals, which continues the lack of trees, right? And think about Yellowstone after it's burning, or any national park. Why is having a fire so important a tool? And then how do you convince a public that seeing burned out areas is a good thing? What happens when we don't burn areas? So deserts. Deserts is like desserts, but with only one S, right? Because desserts can make you chunky, so you get 2 S's. Deserts, you only have 1. Deserts are the driest of all biomes, characterized by a low and unpredictable rainfall. Some desert mice never drink, deriving all their water from a metabolic breakdown of the seeds they eat. Protective adaptations that deter feeding by mammals and insects, such as spines on cactus and poisons on leaves of shrubs, are common in the desert. I just love cactus, so awesome. Think about how the heavy rains do affect the desert. When they had heavy rains in Death Valley, what happened? Let's talk about, in general too, what is the rain shadow effect? Why are some places deserts and some places rainforests? As always, I ignore my checkpoint. The climate that supports the chaparral vegetation results mainly from cool ocean currents. These are going to be near beaches, right? Circulating offshore, producing mild, rainy winters and hot, dry summers. As a result, this biome is limited to small coastal areas, some in California. The largest region of chaparral surrounds the Mediterranean Sea. So if you can kind of think of what the Mediterranean climate is like, you're probably imagining the chaparral. So why are there so many endangered species in San Diego? San Diego County has an incredibly high rate of endangered creatures. Why might that be happening? Stuff to think about. You know, I love to ask you questions. The temperate grasslands have some characteristics of the tropical savannas, but they are mostly treeless, because we're still with the grasslands, except along rivers or streams. You can think of that like whenever you know from the air, you can tell where a river or stream is because it typically has a bunch of trees following it, and are found in regions of relatively cold winters. Grazers include bison and pronghorn in North America, the wild horses and sheep of the Asian steppes, and kangaroos in Australia. In the savanna, however, the dominant plant eaters are invertebrates. So this is the difference, right? Temperate grasslands were colder. most of the stuff eating us is going to be these big grazers. In a savanna, most of the stuff eating us is going to be bugs like grasshoppers or soil-dwelling nematodes. Can you see convergent evolution in the way that they attack the plants? Most grassland in the U.S. has been converted to cropland or pasture, and very little natural prairie exists today. What is the long-term effect of this? This is why we have seed banks. Why do we care? Temperate broadleaf forests occur throughout the mid-latitudes where there is sufficient moisture to support the growth of large trees. So now we're into trees. Annual precipitation is relatively high, ranging from 75 to 150 centimeters or 30 to 60 inches. Remember, when we're discussing precipitation, we mean rain, snow, hail, anything that makes water come out of the sky. And typically distributed evenly around the year. So there's no like rainy period, it's all kind of equal. Annual temperature varies over a wide range with hot summers and cold winters. In the northern hemisphere, dense stands of deciduous trees are trademarks of temperate forests. Virtually all of the original temperate broadleaf forests in North America were destroyed by logging and cleared by agricultural or development. These forests tend to recover after disturbance. Think about where there might be virgin forests. I would guess by the guys who were in charge of the logging because they thought it was pretty, so they kept it. How long does it take to recover it? What is the succession? So who comes first when they're recovering? Who comes second? Will your forest look different than a true virgin forest? Now let's get into cones. So let's scroll up. Cone-bearing evergreen trees such as pine, spruce, fir, and hemlock dominate the coniferous forests in northern hemisphere. Other kinds of conifers grow in parts of South America, Africa, and Australia. So pretty much everywhere, right? Except not Europe. The northern coniferous forest, or the taiga, is the largest terrestrial biome on Earth, stretching in a broad band across North America, Asia, south of the Arctic Circle. Because it's the largest biome, does that mean it has the most animals? Or would it be a different one? Something to think about. The temperate rainforests of coastal North America from Alaska to Oregon are also coniferous forests. So a good example would be Seattle has the Olympic rainforest, and you can see that if you have watched any of the Twilight movies. Warm, moist air from the Pacific Ocean supports this unique biome, which, like most coniferous forests, is dominated by a few tree species. Typically, scrolling, hemlock, Douglas fir, and redwood. These forests are heavily logged, and the old growth stands of trees are rapidly disappearing. See, here I said Forks, Washington, where the vampires live, is hilarious. Totally check out a website if you have a chance at least. They're really trying to deal with this whole Twilight thing. And then there's a nice link. Let's get down to the tundra. Tundra covers expansive areas of the Arctic. So you know Arctic's going to be cold. Between the taiga and the polar ice. So you're still going to have some land. Permafrost is permanently frozen subsoil. Bitterly cold temperature and high winds are responsible for the absence of trees and other tall plants in the Arctic tundra. However, water cannot penetrate the underlying permafrost, so melted snow and ice accumulate in pools on the shallow topsoil during the short summer. So you can have stuff breeding like crazy. Polar ice covers the land at high altitudes north of the Arctic tundra in the northern hemisphere and Antarctic in the southern hemisphere. The temperature in these regions is extremely cold year-round, and precipitation is very low. So they're considered a desert, truthfully. Only a small portion of these land masses are free of ice or snow, even during the summer. Is it true that the Inuits... that should be capitalized, huh? We're the only humans to never make a species extinct. Just fun to look. And if so, why would that be? In the Antarctic, penguins feed at the sea, eating a variety of fish, squid, and small shrimp-like crustaceans known as krill. Antarctic krill are an important food source for many species of fish, seals, squid, seabirds, and filter-feeding whales, as well as penguins, which depend on the sea ice for breeding and as refuge for the predators. As the amount of the duration of the sea ice decline, a consequence of global climate change is that our krill habitat is shrinking. So if you get rid of the major food source for all these critters, what is going to happen to them? I think we're getting near the end of the chapter. Here's a nice little pretty picture. So here's how the water cycle works. It's always nice to have a good picture. Great thing to YouTube. Okay. Erosion from the coastal development has caused silts to muddy the waters of some coral reefs, dimming the light available for photosynthetic algae to power the reef community. Chemicals in the surface water may travel hundreds of miles by stream and river to the ocean, where currents can carry them even farther from the point of origin. For instance, traces of pesticides and chemicals from industrial waste have been found in marine mammals in the Arctic and in deep sea octopuses and squid. Airborne pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides, which combine with water to form acid precipitation, are also distributed by the water cycle. Human activity also affects the global water cycle itself in a number of important ways. One of the main sources of atmospheric water is the transpiration from the dense vegetation making up tropical rainforests. The destruction of these forests changes the amount of water vapor in the air. This in turn will likely alter the local and perhaps global weather patterns. Pumping large amounts of groundwater to the surface for irrigation affects the water cycle too. This practice can increase the rate of evaporation over land and may deplete the groundwater supplies. About 3/4 of the Earth's land surface has been altered by thousands of years of human occupation. Most of the land that we have appropriated is used for agriculture. Another hefty chunk is covered by asphalt and concrete of development. Changes in vegetation are especially dramatic in regions like tropical rainforests that escaped large-scale human intervention until recently. Think about how much better we are at destroying things now that we are more technologically advanced. Okay, let's see if we can get through this in 3 minutes. So basically, we're going to continue on with what is the problem with agricultural, also with foresting, so logging. I'm going to go a little quicker. Oops, not that quick. That's why it takes so long. Now I don't know where I am. Let me pause for a second so I can find my page. Okay, so freshwater ecosystems are also being polluted. A good thing to think about is, how do we view an ecosystem? Do you view an ecosystem by how humans can use it, by its natural beauty, by its role in the environment and ecology of the earth? And how do we make it so that that view helps save these ecosystems, right? And we're always looking for ways to be sustainable. That's the big buzzword. How can humans continue to have agriculture, logging, and all that stuff, but not destroy the planet? Greenhouse gases are natural, including CO2, water vapor, and methane. Others, such as CFCs, are found in aerosol sprays, and refrigerants are synthetics. These are a blanket that trap heat in the atmosphere. For this reason, the increase of global temperatures is also often called the greenhouse effect, because it's keeping the heat in. And we also have warming over the sea and the land, and how does that affect all the biomes? Made it under 15 minutes. I hope this helps you understand what the biomes are, why they're important, how humans have managed to mess things up, and then how maybe together humans can bring back the biomes to a healthy state.